All right, welcome. Thank you for coming to the regulatory update. We're going to do a conversation up here with two very incredible VRMA members.
Thank you. I know, I have to sit up. Yes.
When I was asked to put a session together, they were the first two people that popped in my head. And just so happened that I think on the same day that I was asked to do this, Denise emailed me. So about something totally unrelated, but related to regulatory stuff. So it all came together well. I'm Greg Holcomb. I'm the VRMA's Government Relations Director. Been there for 3 years, and I do all things regulations for VRMA. You probably see emails from me if you're a member. If you're not, that's okay. You can sign up for email alerts through us as well. It's also for non-members. And then we have Jennifer Frankenstein and Deniseholtz, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
I'm Jennifer Frankenstein. That's really my name. I'm a monster about property rights. I'm the past. It is. And my grandson was born on Halloween. Doesn't get better. Google it. Third trending story, 2017. So I am the past president of the Florida VRMA, and I spent 3 years really, it wasn't happening to me in my area. It's still really kind of not happening to me in my area, but what I've seen go on around the state of Florida is infuriating. Miami Beach, if you rent out your home, say your husband passes away and you need to rent out a room in your home, but you're not zoned to rent out a room in your home. Maybe you're going to home share even. You're not going to rent out the whole home. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to take your property that you bought, that you rode the pony across and you stuck the flag in the ground. You worked your whole life to own that property. Now you need to rent a room out. On your second offense, you will be fined $20,000. Now, if you want to drink and drive in Miami, you can do that. Third time, you'll get a $5,000 fine. But if you rent out a room in your home to pay your mortgage or to put your kid in college or in law school or whatever it is, you're going to be fined. So I've become, can I just say it? I'm a property rights whore. That's how I feel about it at this point. I was a public school teacher for 14 years before my manager of my condo was horrible and I decided to do it myself. So I have 260 properties that we manage now. VRMA and Florida VRMA taught me everything I needed to know about vacation rentals and running a business, and we have a super successful business now. But once I got into the board of directors and saw what's going on, 58 separate ordinances in the works in Florida right now, it's been a really rough road. It makes me, I don't say angry, it makes me passionate. Very passionate about this. Oh, you got it.
Deniseholtz. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I've been there about 6 years. Had the opportunity to help some friends open a real estate investment company, and then we decided to do it for the public. We were just going to manage properties that we purchase as investments. Really, my very first VRMA experience was the Florida VRMA. We drove from Charleston, and to hear regulation with the state of Florida trying to shut it down all across the state after recognizing we were having problems just in the city of Charleston, the #1 destination in the world, guys, they don't want us to do short-term rentals. I mean, give me a break. It just got me fueled up. I'm a Texan by birth. And I thought, well, maybe it's just my Texas coming out, but at the end of the day, I don't think any government should tell anybody what to do with their home. The biggest thing I've learned through this is it's education. When you go to a county council meeting and the county councilman stops the whole meeting and says, no, this is like a thing. Where have you been? What rock have you been hiding under? People that make decisions for your livelihood and your owners' livelihoods have no idea what this industry is about. So my blood's boiling right now just thinking about it. So at the end of the day, you just have to start somewhere. We are the South Carolina VRMA, but we really are only in Charleston. Just this year, we're starting to look outside of our little circle to help people and just really share with them what we've done. You just have to do it. You just have to be passionate about it. So if you're here to learn how to start, just start talking to your homeowner, start talking to other property managers. Just get together, start meeting, and do something. Start talking to your legislators.
So we have an executive director in Florida, Deniseholtz, which we're super lucky and blessed to have. We have a very large Florida organization. I think we have 600 members now, and we represent about 30,000 properties. But there's a lot more properties in Florida, and he wrote a one-pager on how to talk to your legislature, how to talk to your senator in your neighborhood, who my senator is the one who filed an opposing bill to our bill. I mean, we're trying to fight it at the state level. We do have a state preemption in Florida. We're lucky. Local government cannot regulate the frequency or duration of vacation rentals. We're lucky. But, 6 years ago, they wanted us to, the hotel industry talked them into wanting vacation rentals to retrofit fire sprinklers in every single home. Your second home. It's a vacation rental today. It's not going to be a vacation rental forever. Most of us have it so that one day we can move into it and retire. It's part of our investment portfolio to help us live our lives. You want me to retrofit this with sprinklers? So we beat that one down very successfully, but then they came back with our preemption, which used to be much stronger, and they diluted it. We only have frequency and duration now. We don't have occupancy. So they're slick. Here's my vice mayor. Vacation rentals take the neighbor out of neighborhood. This is right after I told him that my company alone brought $23 million to our 7-mile island. And how many cleaners and employees we have, and the companies and restaurants and shops that are still open. The one you eat at every Friday night, it's open because of my company and the other companies like mine. So what neighbor in the neighborhood? I'll put a long-term renter in there that you hate. And you'll complain about that. This one will be gone in 7 days. And we don't have, people in general on vacation, they're happy. They're on vacation, okay? They might drink a little too much sometimes, but they're not.
We're in New Orleans. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking. So, but they're not, selling drugs out of the home, and they're not. This is a great one. They're not human trafficking. This bill just came out yesterday, and it got a companion bill, so it's going to go to committee in the Senate and the House. Every single public lodging establishment, which is what they're trying to call us constantly. We have our own vacation rental definition. We did get that too. So we're not considered a hotel, motel, condotel, whatever they want to try to call it. We are a vacation rental. Every single employee who ever deals with the guest has to take a human trafficking class to recognize it, be able to identify it, and get certified within 30 days of employment. Yes, that's a great idea. Check, check, check. As we were trying to push our vacation rental bill through last year in committee, they were writing amendments left and right. Papers were flying all over the back. We want to, are you telling me that you might be putting sexual predators in neighborhoods? Well, they're going to have to do sexual predator background checks. They can't just put a sexual predator. Do hotels do background checks? Hotels are full of kids and people on vacation and at the pool. Do you know if there's sexual predators in that hotel? They actually asked if we ask them upon check-in. This was what they wanted. Are you a sexual predator? If you're over 12 years old, they want that person asked. 13-year-olds, I'm sorry, are you a sexual predator? Are you a sexual predator? Okay, enjoy your vacation. Do you think Disney World's going to put up with that for 1 second? Okay, so it died, okay, but it's back this year, and they got a companion bill, so it's going to be talked about, and it's going to go through the same committees. We're not doing a vacation rental bill this year. We're doing a property rights bill this year. We changed the name. We're not doing the same thing we've done for 2 years that did not work. When you have a property, it's an American dream. It's the only thing you own. It's yours. You worked your whole life for it, and you own your home. And who is a local government mayor who thinks I'm taking the neighbor out of neighborhood? Honey, I am your neighborhood. They don't understand this. It is infuriating. So I know, we try to fight it at the state level, but we have local things going on everywhere. Fort Lauderdale now has a 64-page inspection document that's internally inconsistent. There's no way to pass an inspection with this document. It's $1,000 to register one home. And if you fail the inspection, it's an additional $500 for the next inspection. And you will fail the inspection. Nobody's passed the inspection because they don't want you to pass the inspection. So what's happening in Fort Lauderdale is most homes are being foreclosed on because the people who bought them to invest in, as a vacation rental, they can't rent them anymore. And so now we look like a kind of trashy little area. That's where I grew up. And now it looks like, boarded up windows and vacant homes and foreclosures, and it's hurting the entire economy. When are they going to wake up and see this? Well, it's politics, right? Everybody has a personal agenda. Every single person I hate to say that, but I watched it over and over again. And I go and I talk to senators and I talk to representatives. They have personal agendas. They say they're speaking for their constituents. No, you're not. You have your own personal agenda, and it's hard to break through that. So I guess, and you deal with this on a daily basis. Do you get as angry as we get? We're angry because you look pretty calm and cool. You don't get hardened to this. This is terrible. I know you guys are dealing with things. So what do we do? What do they do? How do you deal with it? What do you do in your economy? Education. Talk about the economic impact. Some are not going to care. We're not against. Raise your hand if you're against being a professional manager. Right? Are you against that? No. Raise your hand if you want to have an unsafe home to rent. Right? No. We want to have I don't mind being inspected. Inspect my home. Tell me what I need to do. I don't mind having a license. Now, don't charge me $1,000 for it. That's ridiculous. You're trying to charge me out of business. We try to come up with model ordinance. A model ordinance, I really love for the nation to come. Every neighborhood's different, so it's hard to have a model ordinance. But what are the 3 problems that they talk about all the time? Parking, noise, and trash. Well, guess what? Do you know any city in the nation that doesn't have a parking ordinance and a trash ordinance and a noise ordinance? Start enforcing your ordinances instead of making up ordinances that are going to kill our business and kill this town. You can't say it in the way we're saying it. We're talking to you about it because we're mad about it. But when you get with them, you're an educator and you're a teacher and you're concerned too about our community. And you want to absolutely come inspect my home. I will be licensed. But they're taking it a little too far. We had 3 bills that came in yesterday. One is that platforms are going to be required to register with the DBPR, the Department of Business and Professional Regulation in Florida. And they're going to be required to tell them every home that they're listing. And they're going to be required to delist the property if they don't list their license number on their ad. They will be required to delist the property. And the bill goes on and on and on. Is this for real? Really? And they're talking any platform. They're talking Airbnb, HomeAway. They're talking your platform. You're a platform. Your website, because you have an online booking, they are calling you a platform. So come on, make up a number. Who's going to go through? The DBPR is like 3 people in this section. Who's going to go through and check those?
I'll just add to that too. If someone has to be watching what our local legislators are doing because they really don't understand. The city of Charleston, when we were going through rewriting the ordinance, which we we hired an attorney to write an ordinance to present, and the city just tossed it over their shoulder. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. If no one's watching or listening, they're passing laws that are affecting us it's just not benefiting us or our property owners. The point I wanted to say is that you have to get involved. You have to get active. You've got to get there and listen to what they're saying. They don't have a clue. The city of Charleston put together a short-term rental task force. No one from the industry was allowed to be on that task force, but yet there were 2 B&B owners. So please explain to me how you're looking for expert advice, but you didn't allow anyone from our group or anyone that owns a short-term rental to be part of the process. It's happening all over the country. You just have to keep talking. We had a bill that was passed in summer of last year, and it took the wind out of a lot of our sales. So we basically have been on hiatus for the last 6 months, but we're back at it again. So if I can encourage you to do something, I don't care what it is, just do it. If it's on your mind. Did you guys listen to Ms. Gilbert, what she was talking about? If the idea keeps popping up in your head, it's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. Do something. Do it.
Raise your hand if you have regulation going on right now where you're at. So if you don't have your hand up, you will by the next conference or the conference after that. So now is the time to educate and talk.
So I would give you a couple trends. Is it still on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Just a couple trends that we've been seeing. So there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. I'm not going to sugarcoat that by any means whatsoever. However, there are some good things happening to protect property rights. As Jennifer mentioned, Florida has a preemption bill. Short-term rental preemption bills stop cities from banning short-term rentals. So they're not allowed to ban the activity for duration, occupancy, and various things. It depends. There's differentiation by state. But the interesting thing, the reason why you see this color-coded, I can get it, you're fine, thanks. The color-coded map here is that the trend is actually, it's evolving and getting more robust as years have gone on. In 2016, there was one state that had a preemption bill. It was Arizona, and it passed. Florida's was already passed, but the new preemption bill. In 2017, we saw a couple more pop in. Idaho passed it. Indiana tried. They failed. Illinois introduced. It failed. And then last year, we end up seeing multiple states, including Tennessee. Indiana passed a bill the second time they tried. Tennessee passed a bill the second time they tried. Nebraska's bill actually passed, but then the governor vetoed it because it was thrown in with a bunch of other crap. And he didn't like the other crap, but he loved the vacation rental part. So they reintroduced it this year. And so this year, we're already up to, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 states, I think it is. 7 states there that have introduced preemption bills, and half of those, I would say, have a really good chance of actually passing. South Carolina's being one of them. Interesting scenario there. And so there are, as you can see by this, 19 states in the last 3 years. It's 38% of the country have introduced or passed a preemption bill on short-term rentals because at the state level, they are realizing that the local policymakers are overstepping their boundaries. They're taking too many things under their own grips, and they're trying to create laws that are just not fair, and in some cases not constitutional. It just really hasn't been challenged yet. There's other things that are happening in the back of the room on the water table. There's a summary sheet. You can see some of the bills that are happening, the ones that I mentioned, the preemption bills, and then a couple other ones that we're watching, including some really bad ones, like in the state of Washington, where they want to apply hotel standards to people that rent more than 60 days a year. So if you're a rent by owner or home sharing, none of the regulations would apply to you. But for professional managers, if you have multiple properties, it's going to apply to you. And so now it's creating, their level playing field has created an unlevel playing field within an industry itself that already is leveled, just not with the hotels. So there's some interesting issues there. On that note, one of the things I wanted to ask, because you've had preemption bills in Florida for a while, since 2011, 2014 it got watered down. What are some of the aspects, I think you mentioned that you've mentioned how it's helped property managers, I guess. But what are some of the things to watch out for if those bills were passed, because there's so many that are popping up?
Well, politicians are sneaky. I'll be honest with you. We have a preemption bill, but they find a different way. They'll charge you $1,000 for an inspection. They'll have an inspection you can't pass. So if you have a 5 people on a city council who are going to vote for this or not vote for this, you have to start early and find out who's going to be supportive of this, who's supportive of property rights, who's supportive of, allowing someone to use their home for the purpose they need to use their home. You've got to get people in there who are going to vote your way. That's part of it. So it's helped us, yes, because they can't just outright ban them, but they're sneaky.
I think on the preemptive bill, we have one right now that's in the Labor and Commerce Industry Committee. I have a fellow realtor that is in that committee, and he should be for property owner rights, but he doesn't like the preemptive bill. He says because from what they understand, and he's a state representative, your local city council people don't like the state telling them what to do in their own areas. It's called home rule. Home rule, R-U-L-E. And yet if you explain to him what the bill really says, that these local lawmakers, your city councilmen in the areas around Charleston are telling your property owners that's affecting their livelihoods, that's affecting putting their child to college, paying for retirement, living the lifestyle they want to live. When you explain it in that way, they're like, oh, I didn't realize that. So half the time you have to help them take off their political glasses, because that's what this is all about. The last session I was just sat in, someone talked about how this is not a paying gig. You know, sitting up here advocating for property rights, you don't make any money doing it. You have to be passionate about it. And you have to sit down, you have to read the bills. They're awful. I'd rather poke my eyes out, but somebody's got to do it. Sometimes that's you. And I rely on the Greg Holcombs of the world. I rely on the Phil Minardi's of the world. Matt Curtis is the guy that helped me get started. So find someone in the organization, you know, government affairs, go to your local realtor board. I've heard that over and over again in these legislative systems. If you need help, I'm a realtor. I will help connect you with a local realtor in your area. Please let me know. There's Mobilization Issues Fund that NAR sponsors that will give local realtor boards money for these type of things, anything to do with property owner rights. So if y'all need help making connections, let me know. I'm happy to connect you with whomever.
The one thing, we've been building a better relationship with the National Association and some of the state associations. I was actually able to speak at their Government Affairs Institute this year in front of 300 government affairs officials that are members of NAR. That's all they do. That's their jobs. However, their organization is from the bottom up. It's local to state to the national organization. The national, they don't want to take this issue on. The state level, they are watching it. They're concerned. It's the local level. So if you are a member or if you just interact with realtors on a regular basis, get this issue in front of their face, even if it's just talking to them and they just say, oh yeah, I've heard that's an issue, because it's going to get brought up in meetings behind the scenes and they're going to say, oh, this is what I'm hearing. I've had this many property managers tell me X, Y, and Z. It's becoming an issue. The reason I bring this up in the state of Washington right now, this bill that our members and the managers up there are furious about, the realtors are supporting. So they see it as a leveling the playing field, property rights, it protects it to an extent, but in the end, it's applying the same standards this building has on a single family home or an apartment. And it's just not the same thing. So you have to tell them at the lowest level through the state level to really get in front for us.
And we've gotten sneaky too. So we've got some other bills going on too that we've worked with senators and legislators on, representatives on. One of them is, and this one came out yesterday, which I love, House Bill 3. It limits local government's ability to regulate or pass new regulations that affect a business scope of work. Oh, I'm sorry, you're going to limit occupancy to one person per 400 square feet? Great, well, that's going to limit my scope of work. You can't do that. So that's one thing. And hopefully we will get a Senate sponsor with that. But the other thing is, in Florida, we have something called a Burt Harris claim. Is that a Florida? That's just a Florida? So when a local government passes something that lessens the value of your property, like they tell you can now only do 30-day rentals instead of weekly rentals. They love to do that. And you lose value of your property because of that, or you lose money because of that, you can file a Burt Harris claim. Well, right now, filing a Burt Harris claim is like, it takes $100,000, and it's very difficult to do. And then local governments will work it out with you, but your neighbor has to file their own. So it's one at a time, and it's extremely difficult. So we've got another bill that we just went through, and this one's great. This one says, and we do have a companion for it. So Senate Bill 1140, House Bill 829. I was a public school band director. Do you believe I'm doing this stuff now? This is unbelievable. But these are our rights, people. So allows parties who challenge a local ordinance on grounds of state preemption to recover attorney's fees, costs, and fees if the party prevails. So we're trying to make it easier for us to go to a local government and say, no, we have a preemption, you can't do that. They don't care sometimes. I don't care if you have a preemption, we're doing it. Sue us. Sue us. That's what they want you to do. Just sue us. Who has time for that, right? The court system is for criminals. It's not for people who are doing it right okay? We're trying to do it right. So what are some things you're facing, and what can we do to help?
Yeah, I think there's some questions in the audience. You had your
Oh, well,
back, sorry.
yeah,
Very
so I'm a local
hard.
realtor.
Take this.
Oh, I'm loud.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, I'm a local realtor, and we're part of the Alliance for Neighborhood Prosperity, and we got it legalized 2016. Everything's great, and now we have a new councilwoman who has decided to make us, you know, the voice of getting her voice out there, using us as a scapegoat for absolutely everything. So not only do we've gotten education out there.
And you're here in New Orleans?
Here in New Orleans. I have talked to the head of No More NAR because they happen to be in my office. They know, and she flat out said, yeah, no, we're not supporting anybody. It's too hot, it's too polarizing. The real estate agents are too scared that it will alienate our local base. You know, that we would support. They don't call it vacation rentals, they call it short-term rentals here, which is almost a bad word. So there's a lot going on at any rate. So the thing that I wanted to say is, yeah, I went to the head of real estate and the local level real estate, and they're like, yeah, we're not supporting anything, we're not behind y'all.
So your local board is a member organization. Okay, they have to listen to their members. You need to find other realtors that believe the same thing you do, and go to the president of your board if you have to and say, my government affairs director, who I'm assuming that's who you talk to, is not helping. I pay dues to be part of this organization. I expect these things to happen.
Keep asking.
Keep pushing.
Well, unfortunately, the other realtors are also too worried. So it's almost like a secret organization.
We'll find people outside of the downtown New Orleans area that believe in property owner rights.
We just got our Florida Realtors this year. They're part of our coalition this year. First time since 2011. We hired our lobbyist in 2011. We've had Lori Killinger fighting for this. We pay her a lot of money. And we just this year got the Florida Realtors to go, wow, I'm not selling so many properties because they're trying to take away rights, and this is affecting my income now. Yeah, you're right, it's affecting your income now. So now they're involved.
We didn't have money. We still don't have money. So we have this, and that's what we've been using.
So both of you have mentioned having hired people. I read the national one. We also hired somebody. We also have no money, so we're still 2.5 years later trying to figure out how to pay him. I'd love to hear like what everyone else is doing to raise money, because despite the narrative, right, our homeowners are not, and Denise and I talked about this, rolling around in their beds full of dollar bills. You know, we're struggling. Most people don't want to put foreign because they're concerned that they are going to have everything stripped from them. So I'd love to hear what you guys have done.
Form an organization, charge a membership dues. We pay her with our membership dues, and it's an insurance policy. It really is. As every company is purchased.
Anything outside that, though, I don't really think most of the organizations I know have membership.
So they won't donate to, like, we have a political action committee, and they wouldn't donate, a member company wouldn't donate $500 to the political action committee?
We do. We need a lot more than that. We've had an attorney for 3 years.
We have membership levels. I mean, there are people that give $5,000, $1,000, and then I've got to say, Expedia, HomeAway, all of those people, depending on where you are, of course, they don't like to be named out loud, but they will.
It'd be great, yeah. I'll have to say too, this year, I've been at this for 4 years. Just this year, it got put on a priority list for our local realtor board. Even after 3 years, and I was chairperson for our legislative committee last year. So maybe they just got tired of hearing me talk about it. I still talk about it because it's important, but I just think, oh, sorry, scared me.
I just think you just keep pushing through, and you find people that are just as passionate as about you as that you are, and the money may not come. You just have to keep, because talking to your local legislators and your local lawmakers, that's free. And that's what we've been doing. I try to raise money. My members are tired, so nobody's forking over any money right now. But I'm still at it.
Could we charge the guest an extra? Could you charge your guest? Every guest pays a $10 fee, because if they don't, they will never be able to stay in a vacation rental again in that area. I mean, would property managers be willing to put? And I don't care what you call it. I mean, it has to be called something. Of course, we want to stay positive, right? So it has to be a positive fee. But maybe that would be a way to earn, if everybody got together and did that.
Well,
that would be a way to earn some funds.
management companies have varying amounts of fees anyway. You know, whether it's an admin fee.
Exactly my point. What's one more fee?
You know, so just increase that. Just call it the same thing and just $10 of this fee is going to go to this.
Right?
There's another option or idea is to do something similar to what we're doing right today, is holding a small one-day event that's educational based, but that's a way to reach out to the vendor community that may have turned you down before, but now that they can put their face in front of people that could give them money, you'd be surprised at how much they're willing to fork out to show up to an event. So that's a possibility. And VRMA's been exploring this idea of an advocacy fund. We've actually created a national advocacy fund to try to get large donors involved in that so that we could strategically place the money in places that we see it moving the needle somehow. It's not fully up and running, but one of those mechanisms down the road is engaging both property owners and the guests. That's something we've explored for that reason.
Right.
You're not going to be able to come back to your property or to the place you've been staying for the last 10 years with your family because they're going to ban it. So we're trying to give different avenues, and then the idea is down the road being able to share that. So we're welcome to more ideas on that fund and how we can connect into that so that we can create national things that can work or statewide things that can work for everyone, but then also gear money towards those local fights because that really is where the issue's happening.
And think locally too about not just your property managers, think about your entire ecosystem of your company. So, you know, Advanced Heat and Air, Howe Plumbing, Luke Wed Plumbing, all my cleaning companies, all the restaurant owners, they don't want to see my 26,000 guests not come back next year. So think, grocery stores, yeah. I mean, think of engaging everyone, the entire life cycle.
Well, it's, you know, it really is, it's, you know, fighting the hand that feeds you. I live on the Outer Banks, and if it was not for tourism and the rental houses, everything would close. There is no other industry except tourism.
That's right.
And, you know, to be fair, when somebody comes and buys a house, you're right, they want to rent it, then they want to retire there. And, you know, Joe Blow comes and buys the house next door because he wants to live there. Well, he's been here before. He knows that this is a vacation.
He started as a renter. I love that. You know how many senators started as a renter?
Yeah.
That's right. Do you have a second home, Senator Simmons? Oh, you do? It happens to be in New Smyrna Beach where my management company is. Yeah, he doesn't rent it, of course.
I have a question for you. I'm in an area that doesn't really have vacation rental regulations. We're a small town, but I have a city council that sort of like on the whim changes their mind about stuff. And so like, how do I deal with that? Like they changed their mind. They decided when we started we didn't need a business license, and then they decided so we have just a tax license. And then they said, oh my gosh, you don't have a business license. Like a year later.
Are you in my town? Because I happen exactly the same thing in my town.
And so, but now, and they're not enforcing it. So like I have to pay it, and they assess our equipment value, which is all of our furnishings, is included in the assessment of our house value now. So I pay the extra tax, and my neighbor doesn't because he has a property manager. And I'm like, how? They're like, well, we just changed our mind. And I'm like, don't you have to go through a process? Like, isn't this written down somewhere? So
No, they can do that. They can do it and they do it. They can.
Are there
That's the
any other people
problem.
like you in your area that are
not as vocal as I am. So they just sort of, we kind of just have now starting the past year kind of get a homeowners group kind of organized.
That's perfect.
We're trying to stay ahead of it because we're in California, so we're kind of like watching what happened in South Lake Tahoe with vacation rentals being outlawed, and so we're kind of like just trying to stay a step ahead of it. But then having already bumping heads with the tax.
You have to just keep speaking and keep showing the value. And I'll be honest with you, it's not easy to be the speaker and show the value. My company, 11 years in business, we pay the highest bed tax in all of Volusia County, and that includes Daytona Beach. And I'm getting audited. I'm getting audited. I wonder why. I wonder why you picked me. I can't wait for you to come because my financial manager, my company, is unbelievably organized and amazing. They're not even going to know where to start. That's fine, audit me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be quiet.
I just want to audit my neighbor. I just feel like an even playing field.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Hi, do you have any, I'm from South Lake Tahoe, so vacation rentals were just recently banned there, so now we're on to Plan B for what's the next step to try and reverse that. Do you have any examples of communities that is the situation and they're further along in the process now, legally and legislatively? Has that been reversed anywhere else that we could maybe go to and see how they were successful in that?
Well, so Charleston banned whole house rentals on the peninsula, which is our historic district. That's a property owner rights issue. So I've gone to my state representative and my state senators and told them what happened. And this is not a party lines thing. This is not a Republican or a Democrat thing. This is just a flat out, you're telling me what to do with my house, and that's wrong. And when you just say it just like that, I'm a constituent, I vote, and I'm loud, and I know a lot of other people that vote too. I need you to listen to me. They will sit down and listen to you. If your local is not working, go to your state. Find your representative or your senator, and say, here's my problem, I need help. And if they don't listen to you, find a bunch of people that say the same thing, get their email address, you compose a letter, let everybody just start slamming his inbox, her inbox, and that's how you get them to listen.
I've been tracking this at the local and state level for 3 years. I can't think of one other than states that passed preemptions because it made their law illegal once it passed.
Once that preemptive being passed, then any communities that had banned that?
Yeah, all their bans are illegal and unconstitutional. Yeah, they would have to rework them. The problem you're going to have in California is it's a very strong home rule state, and your communities, and there's a lot, too many of them, are going to fight back really hard. So that might not be the best option. Unfortunately, I think the courts are probably the best option, which is not the cheapest. Yeah, the courts. The courts are going to be the best option on that. There are constitutional claims that need to be filed in courts. The issue is, so far, every federal case that we've had, and all of them being from California, I should mention, have all failed, but on some other ground. It's never been the constitutional issues. So something like the Equal Protection Clause that should say that it's a home. So whether it's a home or an apartment or a condo, it's a dwelling. It is a residential dwelling. It should be equal under the law as everything else. That's one claim. There's an interstate commerce question. If you're managing a property in California and your owner lives in Ohio and the traveler staying there is from Florida, this is interstate commerce. The local government shouldn't have any ability to regulate that, but it's going to take the courts to decide that. And so far, every single case we've had has fallen on some other stupid issue. It's always that thing. It's that thing you see in the true crime stories where someone gets off from murder because they forgot to file a piece of paper the right way, the district attorney. It's stuff like that that's killing these laws.
You're talking about the courts. I have a really odd situation. I got a permit in Nashville. I live on an HBR lot, which is 2 new houses. I own one of those. Nashville had this law that said only one of those houses could get a short-term rental permit. I got my permit, and then I got it in February. In May, the state passed a law that said we're grandfathering in if you have permits. So then I tried to renew my permit, and they said, oh gosh, we have reinterpreted that law about the 2 houses. Now you have to own both houses. And so I got a lawyer, and we have filed suit against the city. They took away 146 permits in the same situation. Other people have also filed suit, but I filed suit like a month earlier than most people. We got a temporary injunction that said, okay, while this is being in the courts, I keep my permit. And so the permit ended a certain day. The city sent me a letter and said, you need to stop, regardless of the temporary injunction. So now, next week, we go to court, we have a court date ready for a contempt order against the city. And they're violating all sorts of laws. It's criminal. Because they just don't want these short-term.
Yeah, my warning for everyone, I used to be a town clerk in a small town, so of 1,000 people only, and I saw this stuff on a daily basis, and a lot of it was trying to interpret laws from 150 years ago. Zoning administrators have the most authority out of anyone in your local government because it's literally what that person thinks it says, and it's law. and the next zoning administrator can change what their mind is at a minute's notice. And in fact, that zoning administrator can change their mind case by case. And so unfortunately, it does take situations like that, which stinks. We're running out of time. I wanted to show, just for your own, sorry, we missed a lot of things. Right there at the bottom of the website, we have a bunch of resources on our website, advocacy.vrma.org. Most of it's up and free. If it's something that you see that's behind a member wall and you're not a member, you can just email me and I'll send it to you. It's just a problem I have with the system that I can't unlock everything for some reason. But we have various things, including that middle one, the VRMA Voice Messaging Guide. It provides situational messaging to help you in this fight, and based on who you're talking to as well. And I highly encourage people to talk to their state representatives. If you've never introduced yourself, or your local representatives, if you've never introduced yourself to your local city council, your mayor, or your state representatives, do it. Whether or not you have a regulation, you don't even have to talk about regulations. Introduce your business to them. This is the #1 problem I see across the country, is what was mentioned earlier, that when the regulation starts happening, especially at the state level, actually it's worse than local even in most cases, they don't know this industry exists. They don't know anything about it. And so they're basing it on just the little bits that their aides can find and what they hear in the news. So if you start that conversation ahead of time, it may click. And you'd also be surprised if you have inventory, if you manage multiple properties, look and see if any of them are actually elected officials. The number of members I have that say, oh yeah, in fact, one of my members, and I'm not going to say which state because it might identify them, their largest grossing property in their inventory, and the person manages hundreds of property, largest grossing property is a state senator in that state. So he was their person they called immediately and said, vote no on this bill a couple years ago.
And I have a one-page from our state of Florida, one-page talking points for legislators. What do you do? What do you say? And we send to all of our owners. I sent this to all of our owners, and I sent them every email address of every senator and representative in their area, because I can't be the only one talking. And if I do, I'm going to get audited. Oh wait, that already happened. So this is a really good guide too. I will send that to you if you want that. But it's simple. And the first time I did it 3 years ago, I was so nervous. I didn't want to do it. But they're just people. They're business owners too. A lot of them are business owners too. They get it that you're like this. Your home, even if you're just an owner who has one home, you're not a property management company, you're a business owner. That home is your business. That one room you rent, that whole home you rent, it's your business. So they get it. They get the rights of business owners. And when you start talking about property, like we have a lot of females now in Florida in our House and in our Senate. And it's like, you know, if God forbid something happened to you and you had to support yourself on your own and you needed to rent out your downstairs, wouldn't you want to be able to do that? Doesn't that make sense? I don't need to do it right now, but if I have to do it and my property is the only asset I have, shouldn't I be able to do it? That resonates. Those things do resonate, and you have to keep saying it.
Well, the only time I wanted to get regulations is if my kids wanted to do them.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
There's some handouts on the back on the water.